And welcome to another episode of Nothing Like a Good Book. Thank you for the letters. Thank you for the emails. Appreciate the support. Biggest way, of course, is on the YouTube channel. Please, follow, support, subscribe, and of course, ding dong with the bell. That'll let you know when another one's coming up. This one today is a book about war stories. It's actually nonfiction because it was told to him. It's also memoir. And my guest is a gentleman who got these stories through going fishing with his buddy. We all have somebody sometime in life to share stories with and tell things to. Well, this was his good buddy. And his name is Alfred Dansbury. Hi there, Alfred. Welcome onto the show.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Nice to have you. Well, the war stories that were told to you by your fisherman buddy was over a period of some 10 years.
Yeah.
And you say that you didn't really listen in the beginning to him at first, but over time you began to listen and you were really shocked by some of the events that he shared with you. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. 10 years is a long time. I'm interested to know, was it every time you went fishing, he would start just off he goes? Or did you ask him to tell you more? How did it come about?
Well, it wasn't every time. It started over a period of years. It just every now and then, maybe 4 or 5 times a year, he would just start talking about something that happened to him during the war, but I wasn't really paying attention because I'm a true fisherman. I focus intensely on the craft of fishing. If not, fishermen know fish are very smart. So you'll be sitting there all day feeding the fish. So I intensely focus on what I'm doing, and I'm not really listening to, what my buddy is saying there. And his family, he never told his family anything, but he would just start blurting things out until one day he said to me, I can't believe they left me. That resonated with me. When he said that, then it starts, what are you talking about? Who left you? And then he begins to tell me the story of what happened during the Korean War in one of the battles that he was in.
Okay, tell us about that. This was the Korean War.
The Korean War, yeah. Was it
right. Was he in the infantry, was he?
Yes.
Okay.
He was a medic.
Okay.
In the medical corps. And it was during the one of the first battles of the war. And when the war started, the United States was not prepared. They didn't have the proper troops in that area at the time to fully combat the North Koreans. So what they did, they pulled together a stopgap force of soldiers and regiments and battalions, and told them their orders were to slow down the advance of the North Korean armies. Okay, just slow it down and keep moving. Hit them and run, hit them and run. His camp, he said, they were attacked and overrun by the North Korean armies, and they were literally wiping out the American troops during that battle. And he said it was just so chaotic, they just pulled out and took off. And he was able to hide in a hole, a crater, a bomb crater somewhere until the battle was over and his people had retreated, the Americans had retreated, and he was left. And for 2 weeks, he had to wander and hide in holes and ditches, no food or whatever food he could find. Sometimes he said he would find a dead soldier, find some food or water, some rainwater. He had to eat, worms and whatever he could find in the wild to try to survive.
Well, of course, after your fishing buddy did pass away, you began to think about all of these stories, of his time, which he had in Europe and Korea and also Japan and Africa. He really got around, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So okay, so you've got all these stories in your head. I got to tell you, though, I thought that when you went fishing, if anybody talked, you soon shut them up because you'd scare the fish away.
Yeah.
But obviously you didn't in this case. He was quiet enough just whispering to you. So, well, what did you do then? When he passed away, what did you decide to do after that?
Wasn't right away. Eventually I kept thinking about the stories and I collected them. I hadn't written anything down, but I kept thinking about the stories, thinking about them. And I guess after about a year, I thought the idea came, look, maybe you need to write a book about his story, about what happened to him.
Right.
And I didn't know how to
didn't know where to start.
Write a book, where to start, right? Even though I was an English teacher for many years, right. I know how to write, but how do you write a novel or a book like that? So I did the best thing anybody could do. I went to first I researched some graduate schools that would give me the training. There's Rutgers University in Camden has a master's degree in writing. And but eventually I chose Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey. And I started there in 2024.
That's in Glassboro.
Glassboro, New Jersey.
Glassboro, New Jersey, okay. And you started your course on creative writing.
Creative writing, yeah. It took me, I went part-time. It took me 4 years. It should have been a 2-year if I was going full-time. But I had a job with with the city and other jobs as well. So I went in the evenings.
Good job. You were dedicated, my friend. Very dedicated, right?
Okay.
Well, you were an English teacher, so you had a little bit going for you there to help you along here, I would think. You say you were always a good writer.
That's true.
But, your story here where there's people viewing and listening at the moment, and maybe they want to write a book. So, 4 years part-time, that's a lot of chutzpah, my friend. And you needed to learn to be able to write the book properly. You didn't want to make a lemon and you didn't want to let him down or you down or look a fool.
True.
You needed to know the mechanics and the developing characters, the settings, the plot, the style. That's all the stuff that's in the game. That's in the game of writing and being an author and the whole schmozzle. This was back in 2014, and you graduated in 2018, and you did it. You graduated with this particular book, The Strength of Courage.
Yes.
You're proud of that, my friend, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you put much time into, revising? Even though you'd been through the 4 years and you knew what you wanted to write, but did you go back and sort of spend a lot of time on revising it?
I did even after I graduated, because in 2018, when I graduated, this book was the equivalent of my graduate thesis. For that particular program, there was no thesis. The end result had to be a book. So this was my version of the graduate thesis. And I went over, revised it many, many times. Even after I graduated and had my degree, I went back again for another at least 2 or 3 years working on the book before I published it.
Yeah, I think you spent 3 years revising.
Yeah,
and
again,
you added some elements to it as well. But finally, in 2022, you had the darn thing published, and you took a character name in the book called Jim. Is that right?
that's correct. Yeah,
Okay, Jim, not James, Jim.
Jim. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, is it true that he and his wife adopted? We're talking about your buddy now, your past buddy.
Hmm.
What was his name?
Alexander.
Alexander. He
Mhm.
adopted four biracial children from Germany when he was stationed there in the early 50s. Is that
Yes,
right?
yes. At that time, and even before then, uh, going back definitely into during World War II, there were thousands of biracial children with African American veteran fathers and European mothers. There were thousands. They were called brown babies. This was back in the 1950s. Um, I have an Ebony magazine from 1948. And on the
Right.
cover of that magazine, if I had it, I could show it, is a picture of the one of those brown babies in a story. That
Right.
magazine had ran a big story about the dilemma of those children, because the German government was definitely against any type of racial mixing.
Huh.
And those children were considered outcasts. So my friend and his wife, they adopted four of those children. And two of the children were twins, a boy and a girl, little boy and a girl. And the mother of those two children, she was the one that continued, she started writing to that family when they were stationed back in the United States,
Right.
in Texas. And the mother began writing to the family, asking about her children and sending her love for her children.
Wow.
Okay. Even though she couldn't write English, she was sending
Managed to do it. Still managed to do
correspondence
it.
in German.
So let me get this right. We're talking about during the war years. We're talking about uh, American servicemen, Afro-American servicemen
Yes,
who were in Germany at the time, who fathered a lot of children with Fräuleins,
yes. Now,
right? Those beautiful blonde hair, blue-eyed dolls, as they call them. And when they left, though, they just came back to the States.
yep,
These children were born, and they're called brown babies.
yes,
And your friend, Alex, in the 50s, then decided that they would have two. Now, aren't two of the daughters still living of the four children?
yes. They're both, in declining health, but they're alive. They're still.
Well, they'll be getting on now, that's for sure. So what happened when she passed, Alfred? Who took up the task to write then to the families?
Her oldest daughter, because she had other children beside the twins. So her oldest daughter.
So she was the one to communicate by letter and eventually then by email, of course, as it came on.
Yes,
You did a lot of research on this. I mean, you researched the history of both wars, is that right?
yes, I did.
And how Afro-American servicemen contributed. What did you, Tuskegee Airmen, I remember that one, I enjoyed that. Then there was way back in the Civil War, marvelous Afro-American fighting in that Civil War. They wouldn't let them at first. Good enough to die, but wouldn't let them fight.
That's the same was true in World War I and World War II. It was, I think it was 1948
Right.
or in the late 40s before they
Right.
changed the law to actually allow African Americans to fight in the war. They could have other positions, but
Yeah. I mean, that's, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. But this, uh, what, what sort of research then, when you're doing a book like this, right? Because it's a memoir book, but it's also, it's nonfiction because
mhm.
it happened from a point of view of real from your friend telling you. And I don't think he'd bullshit to you, would he?
No,
I don't think
no.
so. So what did you do? You must have read books and articles.
Many books on World War II and on the Korean War. Many reports, military records, magazines, articles,
How did you find them all? How did you, start?
just the libraries. Libraries.
They have a lot of information.
Yeah, yep.
Did
And
you
a lot
contact
of
author at
I
all?
read a lot of books about on African American studies that focused on veterans from those wars, including, like you mentioned, the Civil War. I went back as far as the Buffalo Soldiers,
All right.
to
Yes, I was doing a story on that about 6 months ago. There was a museum here in Tucson called Buffalo Soldiers.
yeah.
Yeah, I was doing a story on that. Interesting. No, a lot of good, a lot of great fighting work done from cavalry to, and I remember a movie in North Korea. I saw one that was William Holden and Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, I think,
Mm.
he was the helicopter pilot. They were stuck in, they went down in, he went down as a fighter pilot. That's right, in North Korea, and stuck in a channel. And Rooney went in to try and get him. And they both got it. Unfortunately, the Korean War. I don't think a lot of people know much about the Korean War as
No,
they
they
do
don't.
World War II. You know,
They don't.
what was some of the stuff? Tell us some of the horrific stuff that he shared with you.
Well, besides being stranded and left for dead in the middle of the wilderness, he was captured by the North Koreans
Really?
and taken as a prisoner of war,
Right.
beaten, tortured. We saw a lot of people that were in the same position that were beaten and tortured and were murdered. And one of the biggest weapons that the North Koreans used to use was starvation. They would literally starve the prisoners to death or use food as a mechanism to get them to turn against each other.
Huh.
A starving man, they would tell him, look, we'll give you this
Right.
bowl of rice or whatever, but you have to tell us location of the American troops,
Right.
the United Nations troops. They
Right.
had to cooperate. But he talked about the execution of a number of military personnel that he was with.
He was very lucky then, wasn't he? In some ways, he never got shot.
Yeah, and they used that. They did a lot of psychological
Yeah.
torture, and
Brain torture.
yeah, they would tell them that well, look, the United States doesn't want you.
Right.
You're African American. They hate you. Come with us. We don't discriminate over here. And they actually convinced many African American soldiers to remain in North Korea. Yeah,
That's interesting. I never knew that.
It's in the history books. Some of
Never
them
knew
stayed.
that. I bet you lots of people didn't know that. So, boy, oh boy, they had no choice in a lot of ways. Well, no
Yeah.
choice. The book is available on Amazon Books, of course, and this particular address here is your website,
Yes.
https and so on, www. Alfred Dansbury, Dansbury's Books. That's an S there, books before the books. Alfred Dansbury's Books. Hell of a long website name there, Alfred. alfreddansburybooks.com, but it'll take you to Amazon Books anyway. You were a long time with the city of Camden, back in the good old days, way back when. In fact, 38 years. Boy, I don't think I was ever more than 1 year or 3 years in one place. What were some of your exploits? Come on, share some of those back then.
Well, no, I was very lucky, Mark, because I had been in teaching and education, and then when I got the chance, a good friend of mine was hired by the city as a, very good job. So she recruited me, and it was with the Department of Planning and Development, but it was the division. My division was Division of Housing Services.
Okay.
And we administered the affordable housing projects for the city of Camden. And the city gets millions of dollars every year from the Department of Housing and Development to use for affordable housing programs, such as the first-time home buyers program. We had an urban homesteading program. We have programs this is all free, programs to help people that own their homes, that can't afford to repair their homes, home repair programs. We had programs for landlords whose housing units are in disrepair, and they want to fix them to bring them up to code for their.
And this was when? What era?
This was during the 80s. I started in 1984. I just retired about 4 or 5 years ago.
All righty.
So the money's still flowing.
I'm still there doing that.
This is national.
Well, you taught reading and writing classes at Camden County College.
Yes.
And you worked as a realtor. In the evenings and the weekends. But you still found time to enjoy your fishing and your boating and your photography in the pine lands of New Jersey.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, that's right.
Do you miss your buddy, Alex?
Yeah, I do. He's a good friend. His whole family. I was good friends with his entire family.
Right. Has he ever visited you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you think he'd be proud of the job that you've done with the book?
I think so. I'm sure he would be, because he didn't, all his family members have all told me how he never mentioned the things that happened to him over there.
A lot of guys don't. You don't want to talk about it when you come back like that.
Yeah. So for some reason, he trusted me. He felt that I was the one to hear his story.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't put him down or not believe him or misjudge him, or, you're his buddy, fishing buddy. Shut up, mate, will you? I'm trying to catch a fish.
He suffered during those years. He spent a lot of time in pain and suffering. Even when he came back, he was
poor devil.
He was physically as well as mentally broken.
I think it's very good of it. It's shocking, people come back from war, blown out of gun turrets and God knows what. And then of course it's the head stuff and the pain, the noise, the explosions, the PTSD, and it's a hell of a lot more shell shock, as we used to call it back in the day. It's not the words anymore, but war's no fun for anybody. And I don't condone it, but sometimes it's a very, very, very difficult topic.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yes,
young
it
men
is.
going off to war. We see so much in films and documentaries, and the boat's packed, and then the boat's packed coming home with injuries and legs and arms missing, and God knows what else. But what they went through, And it's ironic how life goes on. I mean, what the Japanese did to the Australians on the Kokoda Trail and through Japan, and what the Americans went through with the Japanese as well. Look at it now. We're buddies. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
you know what I mean? We need them. We need
yeah,
them against China, and we need them against, because, God, there's a lot at stake. A
yeah,
lot at stake at the moment going on. And of course, the Chinese are all the way down into, I mean, they're building islands, from nowhere, taking over beautiful places like Vanuatu and Fiji and all the rest of it. They're all the
right,
South Pacific, right on the doorstep of Australia. We're very small. We're just an island continent. So again, we need the Yanks. We've been in every war, blood on every sand with the Americans, and
right.
I just hope we stick around. Things seem to be changing dramatically. Who the heck's going to be there for us in the future? You know.
Yeah,
Anyway, I think this is a lovely book. It's The Strength of Courage by Alfred J. Dansbury Sr. It's about his buddy, Alex, his fishing buddy, who came back from the war, kept a lot to himself, a lot in his chest, never talked to anybody, never opened up, only to his buddy Alfred, when they were fishing. So a lot of stories over 10 years, and Alfred has decided to put it into a book in memory of his buddy. And hey, you can buy this on Amazon or go to this site here, alfreddansburysbooks.com. Thank you, Alfred, for sharing your story.
thanks for having me, Mark.
And thank you, Alex, for your service, buddy, and what you did.
Yeah,
And I hope this sells. There's people who will enjoy reading a lot more. There's a lot in the book that we haven't talked about. And, it's for good cause, I think. So take care, my friend. I hope it, sells well for you. And if it doesn't, you've, in closing, what would you say is the biggest thing you've got out of this in writing this book?
just the fact that I know that his stories weren't in vain. I mean, they have gone out. Other people have heard them,
Uh-huh.
appreciated them, and thought well of him because of the suffering and the things he had to go through
Yeah.
to help protect his country.
Yes.
And it
Doesn't
wasn't
matter
in
what
vain.
color you were. Your blood's the same. You can die for your country just the same.
That's true, Mark.
And what he went through, I'm glad you shared it all, because that's a hell of a story alone. Going through bomb shelters, waiting overnight, not to be caught, it'd be a pretty scary time. All right, Alfred, thank you for sharing. It's lovely. Good luck with the book, my friend, okay?
Okay, take care, Mark.
You take care. Oh, what a thorough gentleman, eh? Alfred J. Dansbury with his wonderful book. It's available. It's very good therapy to write. And there is a man that didn't listen at first, tuned out, too busy trying to catch poor little fishies, done nothing to nobody. I'm a Pisces, so I care about fishies. You're nuts, Mark. Okay, so I am. Here's the deal. The book's available, and if your book is something that's in your heart and you want to write it. Don't stop. Don't listen to anybody. It doesn't matter how you think how bad it is or what you do. Just get it out. Get it out and write it down. And if you need help, give me a call. Write to me. Email me. We can work it together. In fact, if you can't write or you don't have the time to write, a lot of people don't. Yeah, sure. I have AI help me, but I don't let it control me. Okay, it assists me where I need it. That's the beautiful thing about AI. You still write it. It still comes from you. That's the beauty of it. And I can do that for you and help you with that way to do that. But thank you for being on, watching the show, another episode. We've got lots of authors booked up to come, all different ones. If you've got something different to share about a book and you'd like to be on the show, write me an email, mark@nlgb.info, nothing like a good book.info. Okay. Dedicated to authors, discovering your book, promoting your book, and selling your book. That's what we're all about. And my site now up and running and doing its thing at nothinglikeagoodbook.com. And there's a growth wheel on there. We start off with an interview and it can go right around depending on what you want to do, what we can do, budgets and things like that, right? But I'm very affordable. Right through to making a film. If you've ever wanted to make a film of your book, we can do that for a very cost-effective price, believe me, and your screenplay. And if you don't want us to make the film, take your screenplay. We'll do that for you. Take it to Hollywood. See how you get on. Good luck. They may love it, but you'll need a few mil against what we charge. Take care.